Hello everybody, welcome back. We're going to look at ICP. I know what it sounds like, but we're going to look at it. So we'll just start with the higher term time frame. So I've been pretty much a perma bull on ICP for better or for worse, mostly for worse to be honest with you, buying it pretty much all the way down to be honest, from about $40 or so. So I suppose my average buy-in is probably going to be just give or take, you know, the upper teens really at this point, so still significantly hard hit. But if you base it around its sats, I'm actually in profit on sats, and that's, you know, for the most part how I like to trade. But really it's underwater with real money, in profit with sats, so take it for what it's worth. So what we've always looked at is this huge bullish divergence on the weekly, which I would say is probably playing out now really. So if we just extend this chart a little bit, we can see we've been in this descending channel for a very long period of time while we've had these higher highs and higher low structure on the RSI on the weekly. So the last time all these things met was when we finally capitulated, if you can call it that, or at least hit the bottom side of this range around here, and that was back in the 6th of June. So that was when this alt season began, if that's what you want to call it. That's kind of what I called it, because that's what it was, where the Bitcoin dominance chart hit a significant resistance and all altcoins started to rally against Bitcoin. But this time round, the bullish divergence hit the trend line with the descending trend line on the weekly, and then it broke out of its descending channel for the first time ever. It's been in this for a long time, over a year really, and same with the bullish divergence. So this could be the point now where an uptrend actually begins. There's a few other little telling signs on the weekly to suggest that also could be the case. Reclaiming major moving averages at the moment, the 10 exponential, and the 21 is just floating around the 3,500, 600 zone as well. That would be a line in the sand that's never been really ever really been reclaimed, and that would be a big nod to the bulls on the long-term time frames, just like the bullish divergence looks like it could be on the long-term time frames to be breaking out now. So we could be ending this horrendous downtrend and starting a long-term uptrend, and I'm talking long-term, I'm talking years here, by the way. You know, I've been trying to move people into the idea of investing at these lower levels rather than trying to get clever and trade, whether you are dollar cost averaging into things or you bought these capitulation dumps like I did around here, or whatever it is that you're doing, and trying to think about this on a more of a long-term projection at this point now. Trading will come a lot easier as a bull market materializes, but if you're looking for investments, particularly for certain cryptos at least anyway, I think now it might be a time to start shaving off some of your whatever it is money that you make and putting it into some crypto bit by bit, and buying, holding and staking, and with a projection of an investment over a 3-year period or more. Anyway, that out the way, let's get back to the TA. Let's have a look at the daily. So the daily's doing something pretty interesting as well. So just have a look back into this. This is your 200 simple moving averages. This one here. So it's never really been a thing for ICP because we've never even been close to touching it before. We had this nice rally and we got rejected from it, and we're coming back up to it these last few days and get rejected from it as well. So even though we've got nothing historical to look back on and go, oh well, you know, this does this or this does this, we know because we can see that it's acting as resistance, and so we know we could assume reasonably that by reclaiming it would actually have a decent outlook, and we could move back up to the 4,000 and then maybe reclaim that and go up to the 5,000 sats. So this is all fine. This is just moving averages and momentum and stuff like that. For the moment we're below it, so let's not get too excited, but that would be something that we'll be focusing on if we did break above it. And we can also see the momentum is still getting quite high here, and maybe getting ready to fizzle out shortly. That's also coupled by the money flow index being quite high on the daily as well, but nothing outside of that. So resistance present on the daily. Now if we go to the 12 hourly, if we can get our GQ span and price above this cloud, that would be a pump signal generated on a 12 hourly, and we've had that in the past and it's responded really well. We got that over here and we did about a 50% move. We're also looking like if we hang around at this level for the next few days, we'll incur a golden cross on the 12 hourly as well, which is going to be a strengthening of trend on the 12 hourly. So this is all looking quite good as well. No bearish divergence present on the 12 hourly there. So let's just move it down to We'll start from a 4-hourly. So the 4-hourly golden cross trend continuation signal from this level here. No bearish divergence. Everything's looking quite good. Outside of the volume being quite low for ICP, it's quite low, which is going to make the move. The money flow index will move quite rapidly because of the low volume. But it's still a decent trend on the 4-hourly that wants to strengthen and is strengthening. Same with the 6-hourly. It's doing the same thing. In fact, it's exactly the same setup. Golden cross trend continuation signal. Up and away. 8-hourly, what we got, same thing in a way when it comes to trend, but now instead of a trend continuation signal, we've got a pump signal that's generated at 3,300 sats, so only 100 sats lower than where we are, more or less where the 10 exponential is hanging around at, more or less, and probably the 21 exponential will be there over the next couple of days as well. So support brewing around those levels, which is the pump zone generated on an 8-hourly. Not that that's ever anything that we really look at. So with all that in mind, we look at the long-term time frames, the bullish divergence sort of playing out, I would say, breaking that descending channel formation. That's bullish as well. Looking to reclaim major moving averages on the daily with all these trend and pump signals either confirmed or brewing on these shorter term time frames. It does actually make it look pretty enticing for those who hold ICP like myself. Whether you decide to buy ICP is completely your bag. It's not really something I would say buy or don't buy. That's not for me to say, but this isn't the only coin that's doing this, by the way. There's quite a few altcoins out there that are actually forming these really decent setups versus their Bitcoin pair. Another really good one that I like is Algo as well. So Algo's looking really quite tasty here. So this is just your daily, not looking particularly exciting on the daily, but we've just merged this down a few notches to a 12-hourly pump signal on a 12-hourly and blah blah blah. We also recognize that XRP is looking to do certain things like this. We've got pump signal on a 4-hourly and blah 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 blah. And like I say, there can be strength in numbers. So the dominance chart, Bitcoin dominance chart, is quite low right now, which is a bit of a concern. And normally that only ends up in wrecked city. But Bitcoin is so boring that I think people are just willing to risk it on these charts, and there can be power in numbers. It's one of the ways that we managed to get that alt season back in 2021. The dominance chart was a major flag to say buy alts, but on top of that there was lots and lots of signals across lots and lots of altcoins, and there's power in numbers. They all start to move, and it's like a domino effect. So we're not quite in the same sort of league as we were in I suppose December 2020, which is where we were buying altcoins at their significant lows. But if we look at about this over a longer term projection for certain coins, especially ones like ICP, I'd say, and some of these other coins, a lot of these other top cap coins and mid cap coins, then I don't really see too much of an issue so long as your projection is buy, hold, stake and invest, really, which is why I made that video a couple of weeks ago about how that should be a major part of your thought process moving into this end of this bull market, end of this bear market into a new bull market. Why I highlighted places like SwissBorg and Crypto.com and Binance as like the major places to do it, and to think about things not just from a trading perspective, but think about things in an investment perspective. Because if you buy these lows now, or around about these lows now, and you revisit your entry point in, let's just say, 3 years, you would be like, why was I so what was the difference between 3,400 sats and 2,000 sats versus 5,000 sats, when really we are hopefully going to be looking to reclaim many of these areas, and maybe seeing areas like 17,000 sats, maybe 25,000 sats in 2 to 3 years or so on something like this. And when you coupled all that with holding and staking in a platform like SwissBorg or wherever, then you just think, well, it's kind of a bit of a no-brainer. But again, you've got to be able to think about it in that perspective. And if it's anything to you, like when I bought all this crypto, or started to get into crypto big time after the last bear market, watching it all play out, my rough buy zone for Bitcoin was about 3,800. My rough buy zone for Ethereum was 160, and for the most part it was up, down, sideways, all over the place. The only way it didn't go is to the left. But again, you know, even looking at those entry points now, they're pretty good. You look back and go, wow, I wish I'd done that, I wish I'd done that. And this is what will happen again in 3 years from now, and when your next door neighbour comes to you and starts knocking on your door and saying, hey, what's all this crypto you've been buying and stuff, blah 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 blah, and you're like, well, you know, you've got to buy it, you know, when no one wants it, when it's uncomfortable to buy it, that's when you want to do it. If you're just buying because you're just seeing everybody going crazy about it, I don't know, some celebrities will be talking about it, and there's Matt Damon, or he'll come back out again, no doubt, and so on and so on. But you know, it's got to feel slightly uncomfortable when you're buying things. But remember, the long-term projections are quite good, and when you think about something like ICP, not that again, I'm not a tech sort of person, but they don't seem like they're a bunch of Mickey Mouse scammers, and you match that with the technicals on the chart on the long term, it now looks as though the bullish divergence is breaking out. It makes it seem as though the low probably is in when it comes to its sats. It probably is in, and it could be at the very beginnings now of turning this entire chart round into what could be a long-term continuous uptrend over a period of years. Anyway, I'm going to leave with you there, but thank you for watching. Hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.